Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, an inspired conversation space between Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner on the journey of motherhood through the common thread of parenting, relationship, and sexuality as a path to consciousness.
We keep our conversations honest, our experiences real, and our philosophies exploratory. We believe that in order to raise incredible humans, we first have to raise ourselves. We know that in order to rock the family, you've got to nourish the mother. If you are here, you care about paving a path of conscious and intentional motherhood, connected with yourself and your gifts, and also illuminating your children in theirs so we may raise more whole humans who can impact this world in a more humane way.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively, head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper. And for all live-streamed pre-release podcasts and all our free content, head over to our free Facebook group, Nourishing the Mother with Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner. We are Julie Tenner and Bridget Wood, and we are so grateful you're here.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Bridget Wood.
And I'm Julie Tenner. And today's podcast is Manifest What You Seek with Us. And we've designed it to be a very active, journaling, self-guided process. So at this point in time, we ask you to go and grab a piece of paper, a journal, open a note in your phone, and journal along to review your year and manifest what you seek in 2022.
So if you happen to be listening to this one while you're driving, maybe pause it, go back through the archives, find something else to listen to, and come back to this one when you can carve out some space that's just for you and your journal and be open to what shifts in the process.
And how potent is this, Bridgie, right? Like every year you and I do this with any group that we're guiding.
Yeah.
Because we see with absolute certainty, and you're doing it with my groups in this year in December. Well,
yeah, I am.
Glorious month off. So you're probably more invested in this process even than I am. So I wonder what wisdom you have to share on what you see sprout for people, because it's so important, right? Just to review the year that was rather than just kind of dusting your hands. Off we go to the next year.
Yeah, and I think so many of us miss this step, and it's just so important because all of our human behavior is patterned. If we don't take conscious effort to look at the patterns that we've carried through this year and look at where our values have been and look at like kind of what has grown and what hasn't grown and where we're kind of stuck in cycles, and if we don't look at that, it tends to continue into a new year. Like we don't magically become a new person on 1 January. So yeah, there's been some like phenomenal shifts with the women that I've been working with in your groups this December. And so bringing some of those questions and some of that processing to the podcast, you and I both thought like, let's give it to the audience here and to listeners and see what you can find out from your own stories this year, because, you know, we're in this tumultuous world and it can be very easy to just wish the year away. But as we saw, when you tried that with 2020, we had more of it in 2021. Like, I don't think we're done here. So this is a call to our radical, like, self-governance and self-responsibility. And this is a great way to do that with these questions.
It really is. And I actually find that this is the best way to manifest your vision board, or to create your vision board. I'm mad for a vision board. Let me just tell everyone straight up. I know for some of us we're like, the stupid vision board. And we probably have like teenage versions of cutting out pictures in magazines and sticking them on a poster board that maybe you did as a teenager. I certainly did. And you're like, that's so ridiculous. But I tell you, without doubt, every single thing that I put on my vision board when I do this process, because you and I, Bridgie, both do this.
Yeah, we do.
100% of the time and with absolute certainty comes true.
And it's powerful. Because, and look, I did the same thing. And in fact, I'm just thinking about the one I've got that I did a few months ago. Sometimes I won't always come in the exact form of it. But it'll come in something different and you're like,
I know. Let me give you an example of that, actually, because there were two things left on my vision board that I perceive had not come true. Now, one of those things I can't tell you about because it is a family secret at this point in time, but has come true. And the other one was I had these pictures of this beautiful like farmhouse and pool, which is like kind of my dream. Ultimately, that's the property that I want to buy. And I was at my husband's 50th where I hired an Airbnb, and all of a sudden I realized, holy shit, this is almost exactly the picture I have on my board. Okay, so I need to change that to I wish to own the property, but the property is there on my board.
Yeah.
And here it is. And I had no idea that, you know, one, we were even going to do that or go there.
Yeah.
But I just think that's the power of having visual images on a vision board.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love
it's funny.
that.
Yeah, I had a good chuckle when I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, I need to tweak that one then.
Not enough detail there, Julie.
No, not enough detail. And probably not enough certainty from me either. Like, I do think this is also where we can't just have pipe dreams. There has to be the vision combined with the inspired action. So
otherwise it's just a wish, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
It's a fanciful wish.
Yeah. So I don't actually think that I had the tangible action steps to manifest that as a property that I own. I mean, as you know, I'm still and will, I perceive, forever be working on my financial literacy and all of the blocks and stuff that I feel like I'm deprogramming all of the time. And I can see that that's still one of those steps. So I looked at that and I laughed. I had that kind of like higher-minded chuckle at myself going, oh, okay, yeah, okay. You've manifested the house, but you haven't owned the house. You've borrowed the house for a little bit, which is so funny because that's so, you know, like the family history that I come from. So I had a chuckle and thought, okay, I need to tighten this up. So it needs to be clearer, and I need more succinct, inspired action to be able to be on the track to that, not just have it as a wish.
I love that reflection.
Yeah. So that's why we want you to review your year, because we want you to build, before you even begin manifesting, we want you to build a sense of balanced sense of self, rather than feeling like you failed or that you're entering wishing you weren't where you are, because that's not a place on which to springboard manifestations. You really do want to be in that wholehearted, I just adore and love myself through all of it space in order to manifest well. So we want you to review first, which is the first process we're going to take you through. And then we'll move into the manifest process, which is really just a way of getting clear and getting clear and getting clear, so that then when you come to designing your vision board, there might only be 4 or 5 things on there, because it's not all muddled. It's very clear. And as we know with manifestations, the clearer the signal you put out, the clearer the result you get back. You put out all this muddled stuff, you're going to get just muddled stuff back. So by the time you come to designing your vision board, I would like to think that it's incredibly clear and succinct.
This process of the questions is really kind of the anchoring into, like, you know, what you want to create, not just like kind of a wishy-washy, I'll stick some things up that I think I want. Like it's kind of the pre-work to that.
Yeah, totally. So shall we begin?
Yes, we shall. So the first part, as Julie said, is the review. So we'd love to ask you, and for you to note down, what accomplishment are you most proud of in 2021?
I was just going to say, perhaps what we should do is also say to you, if you need more time, maybe just press pause after each question.
Yeah, don't be rushed by us. Take as long as you need for each question.
In 2022, I'd like more of this. And in 2022, I'd like less of this.
What would I have done differently this year?
What do I want to let go of from this year?
Where have I been choosing sameness, safety, and the familiar? This question's designed to help you see where you might be being a little stagnant or kind of spinning your wheels. So it's designed to help you see where you might be a little stuck.
Where have I been stretching beyond that sameness, safety, and familiarity, and growing my intimacy, relationship, and or parenting?
Where I think I failed, can I see where I succeeded? Perhaps in a different area of life. So this question's designed to help your brain balance itself out, because we will be both succeeding and failing forever throughout life in different areas of our life. So that you don't get stuck in this kind of dystopian thinking of all the ways you've failed. Balancing the failure with the success also helps you to reveal where your soul is taking you to based on your values.
And success could look like many different things, right, Bridge?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, even some of the women that I've been working with in your containers have said, I might not have had massive business success, but I don't recognize the woman that I am a year ago. There might be enormous success in terms of connection to self or in terms of shifting really old imprinting. And as I said to this woman, I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure the business stuff's coming because you have just become the woman for whom everything else that you want is possible.
How cool is that?
So cool. I was just like, oh, it's like celebrate. It was so great.
And actually, that is a beautiful segue into this next question. So, Bridget, I'd love for you to riff after I read this out on how you tie those together.
Sure.
Where has my investment in, whatever you have invested financially or time-wise in this year? It might be you invested in relationship. It might be you invested in parenting. Where has my investment in the things that I've invested time and money this year had a positive flow-on effect for other areas of my life that might be feeling separate? So where does what I'm investing in serve the other areas of my life, which is what you're saying here, Bridge, is right. You might start with, I want this type of business, but you have to become the person for whom that type of business is possible. And so what I hear you saying is you were reflecting back, wow, that's on the horizon now because you're now the person for whom that's possible.
Yeah, because there's so many beliefs had to be let go before that could be a possibility.
Right. And so the investment that you made in personal development, in relationship development, and wherever you invested to become that different person in personal training, who knows, actually has a flow-on effect in how you show up as a mother and how you show up as a partner and how you show up in business and as a friend. Like it has other flow-on effects to other areas of your life that might feel really separate to, I don't know, whatever it is, your gym, your relationship, your counseling, your personal development might feel separate.
Yeah. And a classic one that I see with women, and you would see this too, Julie, is the woman resistant to kind of pushing past her intimacy blocks to connect with her partner because she's so focused on perhaps attachment parenting or motherhood or mothering. But yet the very investment in that thing and the deepening of connection and intimacy actually creates the family life of your dreams, right? The mothering relationships and just family connection that inspires you because there's not this discomfort, disconnection, sense of being unmet and unheard that's happening in intimacy that the children feel and that you can kind of feel, and then there's this ickiness. So part of that work is going, okay, well, how does me doing the thing that I'm initially resistant to actually empower, support, nurture, encourage everything that's really centrally important to me, so that you can raise up on your values, you know, maybe your relationship or maybe your money or maybe your parenting, so that it can feed the other parts of your life that are important to you. They don't have to be separate. In fact, if you show up as more here, everything gets to be more. But because we have this, like, you know, negative bias in our brain, we tend to have this sense, well, I can't because I'm exhausted or I'm overwhelmed or I don't have capacity. And so we kind of stagnate or cap ourselves when it's just that little bit extra effort or connection or intention that can feed all those other areas that are important to us.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so summing it up, where has my growth been in 2021?
So really review all of those answers you've just given and really write down and acknowledge and let it hit your heart how big your growth has been. Like, see yourself, value and validate yourself for where your growth has been this year.
This podcast is brought to you by Honey Club and Reimagining Motherhood, your spaces for intimacy and feminine embodiment and conscious parenting and inspiring motherhood. Come join us at julietanner.love and bridgetwood.life.
Then we're going to move on to manifesting. So this again is a similar process. We walk you through several questions and then we get you to review and sum them up at the end. What do I fear happening again in 2022? Why is it an important, Bridge, to look at our fears?
Really important, because we don't actually have a fear of anything that we don't already have an emotional charge around. So what that actually means is we don't actually fear anything that hasn't already happened. So we fear re-experiencing something that was painful in the past. So maybe you fear re-experiencing lockdown. Maybe you fear re-experiencing relationship challenge. Maybe you fear re-experiencing the intensity of parenting that you might have had this year, or a job loss, or, you know, whatever it is. Part of our empowerment is looking at, okay, of that thing that I label as terrible or I never want to go back to, what were the blessings in that experience? So that we can take the emotional charge off it and be less run by it. Because as long as we're run by that fear, we're constantly like, you know, a scared animal looking for all of the places that that thing might show up and trying to avoid it, instead of putting our creative energy into what do I actually want to create. And so this question, what do I fear happening again, shows us where we've got unresolved emotions, unresolved lessons. And so be gentle on yourself as you answer that question, because we all have this, right? We're human. Everybody has fears, but it's about kind of exposing them and getting curious about them so that they don't have to run us. And then the next question is, what do I want to embody in 2022? So maybe that's a way of being. Maybe that's how you view the world. Maybe that's how you literally be in your body. So your kind of baseline, how it feels to be in your body. Maybe you want to embody spaciousness. Maybe you want to embody connection. Is there a word for you that evokes what you want 2022 to be about for you, that you can take and anchor into your body?
Well said. Really beautiful.
Thanks.
How I want to feel in 2022 is. So we're going to give you just a few prompts around this. Now, Bridgie, I know that you love, I've never got into it, but you love to have a word that you continuously return to or re-navigate towards, right?
Yeah. I'm laughing because my word for this year, and when you choose a word
for this year, 21, are we talking about?
Yeah, for 2021. Yeah. When you choose a word for the year, what happens is your shadow brings up all of the areas where you're not that.
What is your word?
Focus. And I really struggled with focus this year. And I think it's like a cosmic joke. Like, you think that there's this like, yes, that's like what I need. I want that.
Yeah.
And then you find all of the ways in which you're not that. And ultimately too, to accept that like there's benefits of not being focused, but to have that as a governing, like, and same with feelings, right? Like if you want to feel in 2022 happy, then I can guarantee that you're going to feel probably pretty depressed, because if you put on a pedestal this one feeling or this one way of being, then you naturally invite its opposite, because we are designed to be whole and feel it all and be it all. So what I guess I want to have some kind of conditions around this question, which is what I want to feel, is for that to really be a governing feeling, but not a feeling you try to be in all of the time, because you're not going to be able to be in it all of the time. But you can love yourself back to it and also accept, the benefits of when you're not there. So if you're not in connection, well, what's the value of you of being disconnected? Because connection's certainly been a word that I've had in the past. If you're not, I think one year my word was courage. And so sometimes embodying courage looks like also loving yourself when you're not courageous. Because can you only love your children when you see them being brave? Or can you also love them when they're terrified and scared and that they shrink? Because ultimately we want our children to grow and recognize and be home with all parts. But like in them, we want that. We also need to be able to love that in ourselves of when we, you know, recoil or shrink or disconnect, because those are part of the human experience. And if we make them safe, they don't have to take over. Because we've already said, there's room for you here at this table. You can have this chair. You don't get to take the whole banquet and eat it, but you can have this chair because there's room for everyone here and everybody gets to co-create and enjoy this spread. And so I think when you ask yourself how you want to feel, do it from a place of heart opening desire, not from a place of, I don't like the feeling of the opposite, or everything else is kind of not conscious and I want this conscious feeling. Can come at it from an integrated place.
So when you're contemplating how you want to feel in 2022, you might consider your word and use it as inspiration, and for both, for loving your shadow and your light, like Bridgie just spoke about. Other prompts that I would offer you is how you want to feel on a daily basis, how you want to feel in different areas of your life. So it might be how I want to feel in family, how I want to feel in finances, how I want to feel spiritually, how I want to feel in my career. Like, you can hone in on different areas if that helps you just smooth out where you're at with it all. And how you want to feel by the end of the year. So all of these are just prompts that just help you filter it out a little bit better, because it can feel confusing in your head.
Which 3 people inspire me and why? So think about people that you look up to, people who either you know personally or that you've observed perhaps, and get clear on who those 3 people are, and also what is it about them that you are inspired by.
The reason we want you to do this one is because often we don't see, I mean, like Marianne Williamson's quote, we are often more terrified of our light than our dark. And we often do not see how wonderful we are, but we will see it in other people. So the things that you're admiring in other people actually are the things that your soul wants you to claim more of within yourself. So when we're talking about using it this way in terms of manifesting, what we're asking you to do is list, okay, who are the 3 people that inspire me the most, or I think it's just wonderful, I just, you know, hold them up. And then, okay, what is it about each one of those? What are the traits? What are the attributes? What is it about them that I really love, like, adore? And then that becomes part of, okay, this is a signal from my soul going, okay, these things you want more of for yourself. We want you to claim more of this for yourself. So this starts to work towards, I'm starting to get the picture on what my 2022 might be feeling like or looking like. Next, design your ultimate wish list with 12 things you would like to accomplish in 3 months from now. So 12 things you'd like to do in 3 months if you had no fear and nothing holding you back.
And the reason why we have that kind of qualifying piece to that question is because often we sit here and we, like, either consciously or unconsciously go, oh no, but I can't, and oh no, that's not going to work, and oh no, I couldn't. And so what this second part says, if you had no fear, so you can't answer this with the lens of fear, and there's no reasoning or things that are in the way. So unfiltered, your ultimate wish list, 12 things you'd like to accomplish in 3 months from now. And then from there, design your ultimate wish list with 12 things you'd like to accomplish in 12 months from now if you had no fear and nothing holding you back. So this is asking you to take a longer vision.
12 things, 12 months. In order to reach these goals, what I'd need to let go of is.
So this question will help you start to reveal some of your own potential patterns of self-sabotage, or rather self-protection. So self-sabotage really is just you protecting your current self from growth or from perceived pain. So what habits, ways of thinking, actions or inactions would you need to let go of or repattern in order to reach these goals? And then finally, what steps of inspired action can you take today, right now?
And I would also say to you, think about my vision board of I manifested an Airbnb house, not the house I wanted to own. And the reason for that is the missing inspired action. So map out your inspired action to make your dreams tangible and possible. And then you just start chipping away.
And the power in this is also because these big, audacious dreams of ours that we want can seem so pie in the sky unless we have a process that has chunked it down enough for it to feel achievable. And so even like in Julie's example, owning that house felt too up in the air. Like, how do I bring that down into something that feels like I could achieve that? So instead, what she's manifested is the experience of feeling what it's like to be in that house, perhaps as a pathway to now a more embodied action plan of, well, what would I need to save and what kind of location would that be in? And, you know, like, what am I looking for essentially? And, you know, all of like those nitty gritty steps and questions that you then need to ask yourself to get that outcome. So maybe your steps of inspired action might be, wow, here's a really big pattern of self-protection that I'm in as a way to not do the thing that I actually really want. So I'm going to put up a reminder on my mirror, or I'm going to put up an hourly reminder in my phone that's going to help me break the pattern that I'm in and choose a different neural pathway to create more of what I really want. Accepting also that withdrawing from the pattern that you're in will feel a little bit like a drug withdrawal because we're addicted to the neurochemistry that we get from the behaviors that we currently have. We perceive we get more benefits than drawbacks to how we currently live. So the process of shifting how we currently live requires an awkward clunkiness of, okay, stop, not going to do that, do this one, right? And that feels like, it feels hard. And it's meant to feel hard because you don't have a neural pathway for that action yet. And so this process is helping you baby step that shift and that change, which we can apply to any area of life.
Definitely. So we would love to see your vision boards. If you happen to do them, then take a snap and send them to us or tag us in your socials. We would love to just witness the gloriousness that it is to see another woman's vision. It is a gift. And you can connect with us at nourishingthemother.com.au, Nourishing Mother on Facebook and Instagram. And Bridgie, what have you got coming up and where do we find you?
Well, actually, as we've been talking, I've been thinking, you know what, we're going to do a practical process on this in reimagining motherhood. So I am going to ask everybody in the membership to make sure that they've listened to this podcast this week, because we're going to actually be doing some like facilitation and shifting through some of the stuck parts of these questions, and also actually create space to do the vision board, because it can be something that can be like, oh, I'll do it, I'll get it done. We're going to do it in the group. So if you feel like you need some support through this, I really invite you to jump into Reimagining Motherhood. You can join for $44 a month, or you can purchase a 6-month membership for $250. So find out more about that at bridgetwood.life. Remember to nourish the woman, to rock the family.
Well, first I'm going to share where I'm at. I'm just going to share that we've got Honey Club.
My brain went, I think Julia.
It's all right. I think because I messed up our process, I think that's what I did too. So I think I just tweaked your neural pathways.
We have this thing at the end, and sometimes it's like a glitch. We glitch it.
I know. I do feel like I kind of missed you up there because the process, I started it and then I went, hang on a minute, I haven't done our proper wrap up. So no, that was my bad. But starting at the moment, you have Bridget in Honey Club, and you can join me in Honey Club in January for $77 a month. And we meet for the first 3 Thursdays of every month on relationship, feminine embodiment and practices, and all things juicy to keep your intimacy steaming along. So you can find out more at julietenner.love.
It is such a beautiful space. Now, remember to nourish the woman to rock the family.
And we'll see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
Thank you so much for listening. We literally couldn't do this without you. Please share this podcast with anyone you think it would be medicine for.
If you desire to integrate your learnings practically and supportively into your life, then head on over to bridgetwood.life or julietenner.love to go deeper.
And if you feel like giving back a little to this free content, please rate us on iTunes or Facebook, all of which helps the podcast reach more mamas who need this type of tonic for the soul.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/TheWellnessCouch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.